Okay, what'd you say?
Yeah, when you said you watched the movie Click, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what you were talking about, and right after we finished the video, I actually watched the movie on YouTube,
Yeah.
and I actually remember that I watched it a long time ago, but the way I see it now and the way I see it in the past, I would think just the movie is just about like, oh, he just doesn't have time with his family. This is what happened, but now that I'm thinking about it now, it goes deeper than just like spending time with family. Because I think the movie is trying to tell you like, to be more meditative, instead of just being caught up in like, being promoted to be like the CEO or whatnot. Because like we fast forward so much in, we fast forward our lives so much to the point that we're not even appreciating the present moment. We want things fast. Like it got me to think about the martial arts too. Like people want to get better quick instead of just like learning, like process to process to process. They're just like to be a seafood, for example. You can't just rush the progress. You gotta take your time. You gotta not precipitate and actually like pay attention to every of your progression in life. I mean, not just your family, just like the fact that in a movie, at some point you just like fast forward the what his wife is trying to say instead of just saying to her. And it doesn't have to be a remote. I mean, you can just fast forward what your wife is actually like. Anybody, it doesn't have to be your wife. It can just be anyone like close to you. When he's talking to you and just don't listen, you just on your own order, or you might be doing something else. And another feedback that I get is that not only did it not have time to spend with his family, it doesn't involve. It doesn't. It was not. It didn't invest much in his overall development of his body either. He was just like eating a bunch of sugary snacks all the time, which is clearly not good for you. And he eventually got fat. So I don't know what's your feedback on the movie right now, but I mean, I think it was a funny movie in my opinion too. So what do you think of Adam Sandler as an actor in general, like as a comedian? I mean, are you familiar with his work?
Some of it, when I first found out about him, I think the movie that I saw him in was Happy Gilmore, and I thought that movie was really funny. But that was like back then when I was like a
Okay.
lot younger, like teenager years. And
Okay.
but now that I'm older, I'm very critical of a lot of movies and a lot of expressions because I look at the deeper implications of it, Like
Mhm.
I see that a lot of times these movies they're making fun of things out of the expense of somebody else. A lot of times they'll poke fun at certain cultures and things like that, and it might be funny,
Yeah.
but if you look at the deeper implications, you're like, man, it's not right. Um,
Yeah.
and that just makes it hard to appreciate any type of comedy because then you have just too many rules and regulations and too much expectations that it ends up making you want to not laugh at anything. You know, like like
Yeah.
like the problem with Click. Even though there's a deep meaning that I liked about the movie, the problem that I didn't like is like when when he's like making fun of like the Arabs. You know,
Yeah. Like
like
the
that,
aliens too.
and then like just the stereotype of the Chinese and the Asians where they're just all
Mhm.
nerdy and fobby and stuff and
Yeah.
like that and
That one.
it's just like just almost like I think a lot of this is a common theme in a lot of his movies. It's almost like a white power superiority type of feeling where we'll make fun of all these other races and the white's always the best type feeling. You know what I'm saying? And
There's always this problem.
yeah, I
And,
mean, and even there's I read in an article like there's this new movie that he was making where he was like he was like disrespecting the Native Americans like really severely, and there was like some real Native Americans on the movie set, and they ended up having to walk out of the movie set because of how disrespectful he was. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But like looking at that stuff, it's it's just Hollywood in general, man. Not just with Adam Sandler, but just a lot of Hollywood stuff is really, really racist. So
Yeah.
like that aspect, I feel is always a problem, especially coming from my age and looking at things the way that I do now. But when I'm younger, you don't really think about those things, and you just laugh, and then what you could bring that laughter onto into school and start making the fun of the people based on what you've seen. Just like like if he's making fun of Mexicans, then you're like, you're not Mexican, and you start laughing at it, and then you might bring
Yeah.
that comedy to school and start making fun of a Mexican based on what you just saw, you know.
Oh yeah. That
Um,
happens a lot though.
and even my son, man, like my little sweet little Kios, he's like a really sweet kid, but there's a couple times where he said to like Jenny and even to me, like in front of us, he said something like Mexico, and he started laughing. And then we're like, we had to teach him, like, no, you don't say that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
don't say that. Yeah.
Like, what's so funny about Mexico? You know what I'm saying? It's like, but
Yeah,
it's like,
it's like a country. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah, it's like these people, like, they don't know, but at the same time, it happens all the time. And that's the thing about comedians, is like, it's almost always the case that, okay, there's laughter, but it's gonna be at the expense of somebody else. And at that time, they're targeting the Muslims, and they're clearly targeting the Asians, and then
yeah.
they'll target other things. A lot of his movies too, I don't really see that many blacks either. It's like always all white
Yeah,
cast.
just like sometimes they just squeeze in like one black guy,
Yeah.
in a movie.
So I mean, that's why, like, I mean, no movie's perfect, and that's why I'm not, like, gonna be like, oh yeah, Click is the movie that will enlighten you type thing. No, it's like more like, okay, there's problems with the movie, but then as far as, like, what I got out of it, the positives, was, yeah, I mean, it could be a teaching on meditation. Um, it gives you, like, it could give you, like, a storyline and a visualization of things that you can remember that are relatable to the movie, to your own life, that helps you learn about meditation quicker. Because I mean, that's what you don't really get from a book. Like, a book is just like, all right, this is what meditation is, this is how you practice it. But a movie is more like, okay, this is a storyline, and then you could like connect with the characters or the actors, and then you could visualize to see what they've gone through, and then that could have a stronger, more meaningful and impactful part of your life, because now you're like, man, like, I don't want to be like that myself, because I could see the similarities, you know what I'm saying? Like how, he's like fast forwarding through life, and that's essentially what you're doing when you're just like doing things unconsciously, and you don't even think. And it is really relevant to the martial arts, because the seafood thing is like, oh yeah, I just want to be seafood as quick as possible, but then you're like missing out on everything else during the process, where essentially that's why I think a lot of like the real deep teachings of the martial arts and of like the East, and of Bruce Lee and Osho and Buddha and stuff like that, is about teaching you that there's really no goal, because if you take away the goal, then it's like taking away the promotion. There's nothing to strive after, because there's no longer a promotion there. If you take away the goal, then it's like, okay, there's nothing to strive after, so there's no rush. Now you just progress naturally, and through that natural progression, you're gonna improve, and the next thing you know, you are a Sifu. Next thing you know, you are like the head of the company. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's not something that you purposefully strive for. It's something that just happens through time without notice. without like conscious notice. And that's kind of like what the Wu Wei is. It's like effortless effort, where it's like, you progress, but without like effort. It just comes naturally. And
Yeah.
like that's essentially what I feel the martial arts to be too. Like you don't strive to be anything. Like you just enjoy the journey, and that's what it's all about. It's just like I was even thinking about the movie today when I was biking home, and like how like if you fast forward life and be like, oh, I just want to like experience the good things, and then you just fast forward through all the boring things, and then next thing you know, you only lived like 4 days because you only cared about a very small aspect of life. But then
Yeah.
there's other movies where it's the opposite. There's this other movie, shoot, man, what was that movie called? It's like there's this one movie that we saw recently. Jenny, what's the name of that movie that we just saw that you really like again? Jenny. What's the name of that movie that you really like again?
Adeline. The Age of Adeline.
Okay.
Oh, that made me
Okay, so
cry.
there's a movie
So
called
sweet.
The Age of Adeline, right? And it's
It's
like
a woman's name. Adeline.
it's a woman's name. It's
Yeah.
like completely the opposite of Click, pretty much. Pretty much, she like goes through something where she got hit by lightning and then she couldn't age. You know what I'm saying? Like she pretty much would live like forever. And then it's just showing the problems of if that happened to you, where you just couldn't age, and then everybody else is dying around you, the implications that could have. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like the
Yeah.
opposite of the movie Click, into showing, like if you could fast forward through life at such a quick pace, that's obviously not good. Because then you're failing to just like fully enjoy the whole experience of everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you slow everything down, where you almost live forever, and then everything else around you is dying, then that could be a bad thing too. You know. So it's just like,
So,
go ahead.
sorry. So there's a point where you have to not fast forward, but there are times to move fast, so there's time to move slow. Is that right?
I mean,
It's like a balance, isn't it?
I think it's more like being like going according to nature. Like just letting things go natural. I think that's what's important. Like living a meditative life, and appreciating everything, and like what I want to do is I want to live longer by just taking care of myself to show appreciation for my life. But it's not like, I want to live forever type thing, where it's more like just letting things go natural. I mean, if you live a naturally fast-paced life, then maybe that's just meant for you. Like how fast of a life Tupac had, for example, dying at the age of 25. But then it was really intense because it's like he had all the stuff that he experienced, and then he died at 25. And then Bruce Lee, he had a very intense life, and then he died at 32. So it's not like a meditation master is going to be afraid to die early, but it's not like he's going to purposefully rush through life. It's more like, I think certain people might be built, or they're destined to kind of die young, so then their life is just lived more intensely very quickly. Other people might be destined to just live longer, so then they're just going to live a longer, more of a peaceful and just calming life for, till old age. Everybody's a little bit different. But that movie definitely, could be a movie that could help people to just kind of slow down, and just basically like knowing what to value in life. I mean, because he had his wife, he had his kids, and a beautiful family at home, but then he's stuck just chasing after this stupid promotion. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Especially by his horrible boss too, man. Always like hating on these women and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just like
and
knowing what to value in life is what's important, you know.
yeah.
You know, but I enjoyed the movie.
But I enjoyed the part where he's hurting the kid, the neighbor's kid every time, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the kid's always trying to like, hey, my robot has more value than your car. And he just like break the kid's robot. It's like, not anymore.
Yeah, that was funny.